the Everything But Politics podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to Everything But Politics. My name is Merrick Leeser, alongside my brothers Ethan and Evan Leeser. Got an absolutely amazing episode today with fellow University of Arizona alum and a man I've admired for a couple years now. So without further ado, Eben Britton. Eben, welcome to our show, brother. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So, Evan, something I've been currently thinking about in my life is the difference between prayer and meditation. I feel that prayer it's easy for me to sit in my own thoughts and pray to God or the universe, whereas meditation, where I focus entirely on my breathing and just sitting still, is a little more challenging. Is prayer a form of meditation and vice versa? And if not, what are the two differentials?
Nice. Good question. Prayer can definitely be a form of meditation. I would say that meditation is any time you're concentrating your awareness on something. One difference that I've picked up along the way, prayer is when you talk to God, meditation is when God talks to you.
I like that.
Prayer is a super powerful modality. I pray and meditate. Both have been really important for me on my journey and in my process of growth. My experience, again, with meditation is that anything can be a meditative practice where you're concentrating your awareness on a single point. That could be a mantra, that could be prayer, that could be your breath, that could be the space around your body or the space between your eyes, or a sound coming into your ears. You know, meditation can happen while you're moving, with your eyes open, eyes closed. You know, I think that we get really hung up on an idea that meditation has to be sitting in lotus position, legs crossed, upright with your eyes closed and your hands in a mudra. And it's really not about that. You know, it's really about anything that you can do to concentrate your awareness and not get lost in the mind's mechanism of constantly trying to analyze, remember, fantasize, project, future trip, all the things that our mind does and will do forever. It doesn't matter how much you meditate, how much time you spend in prayer. Your mind is built to do these certain things. Or maybe it's your brain. Your brain is built to do things. You know, it's difficult. I mean, to define the mind is a completely different conversation, but our brain has evolved to keep us alive, right? So that's not really about telling us the truth or bringing us peace. That's literally about keeping us alive, keeping us upright, keeping us breathing. And a lot of the thoughts that we experience in the modern world that are running through our mind constantly are simply a reaction or an expression of the mind's constant need to keep us alive. So we're constantly trying to figure things out. We're analyzing data and information. We're remembering what happened to us 10 years ago. Does that matter today? You know, how do I keep myself safe? Is this a life or death situation? What's going to happen tomorrow? I've got that meeting. I got these emails from my boss, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, coming back to the initial question, meditation is really anything that we can do to bring ourselves right back here. And meditation can be a living practice that you're doing throughout your day. I mean, that's really where we're getting to. The sitting still and listening to your breath, or listening to the sounds coming into your ears, or whatever the meditative exercise that many of us use, myself included. I meditate 3 times a day lately. That is simply the going to the gym and getting the reps on the pull-up bar. So that when you're out there in the real world and life is happening, you're in conversation with somebody, you're facing adversity, somebody cuts you off in traffic, somebody gives you the finger. There's a million things that can pull us and get us out of the moment, get us out of our body. The meditative practice is literally getting us reps on the mat of just coming right back to where our feet are over and over again. I mean, you might sit down to meditate for 10 minutes, and all of that stuff that you're talking about, Merrick, where you're saying, it feels really difficult, that's a rep. That's a rep of meditation. Your mind is drifting off. You're like, fuck, I don't want to be here. I want to go and get my coffee. And then you just come right back to your breath. That's a rep. That's meditation happening right there. You come back to your breath. Oh, shit, I got that email I got to send. I better go and do that. Come back to your breath. Oh, man, that girl that I slid into her DM, she hasn't responded. Oh, I'll come back to the breath. Over and over again, dude. It's just like, whatever the thing might be, you just keep coming back to the breath. It's another rep. It's another rep. That you might do that 1,000 times in 10 minutes. And that's meditating. Meditating is not like we're not gonna sit down and our mind is just gonna be clear. I mean, it takes a long time to get there. When you start to have that experience in your meditation practice, that's not even an every time thing. Every time you sit down, it's going to be different. Every time you get underneath the bar, it's going to be different. Your body's a little different. Your mind's a little different. The river of life, the flow of energy is just constantly moving. So you're never the same. There's that
when
old.
You were playing.
Go ahead, Ethan.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. When you were playing professional football, did you find yourself, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, in this meditative state, or is it something you picked up on later in life?
I think as an athlete, we have an experience of the meditative state, or what might be better described as the flow state, which was really important for me because I learned very early on, as a high-level athlete, that I could transcend my mental or emotional state through my physical body. I could get to a new place, a new plane, a new state of being through movement, through breath, through getting my heart rate up, through sweat, through physical challenge, physical adversity. And that was really important for me. I mean, while I've always been interested in the unseen dimensions of reality and life, there was definitely a time during my football career where I remembered, it was kind of later in my career, my brother had started meditating out of, his own necessity. And he would say, Ed, why don't you meditate? And I was like, fuck that, dude. I don't have time for that. So meditation wasn't something that I practiced, I mean, my spirituality for a long time was something that was felt but not necessarily understood. And it wasn't until after my football career when I started combining studying ancient texts, spiritual teachers, and really started to formulate my sense and understanding of spirituality, which really comes down to my relationship with myself, which is essentially my relationship with God and spirit, and how to engage with that, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
The expression that is strong body, strong mind. How important is physical exercise to really have your mind sharp and not necessarily depressed and feeling down all the time?
Our physical body is the vehicle that our soul is moving through this human life in. So the stronger, more resilient, more clean and clear our physical body is, the clearer our antenna is to receive transmissions from wherever they come from. The universe, cosmos, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. I call it God and spirit. It's difficult to have a clear mind when your body isn't strong and healthy. It doesn't mean you need to be a bodybuilder. It doesn't mean you need to be, an Olympian. You don't need to be a ballerina. You don't need to practice yoga every day. But I think it's really important to have a relationship with your body in which you move it regularly, you sweat, and you nourish it with nutrient-rich foods and drink plenty of water.
I wanted to go back to Eb in Tucson, Arizona, college kid, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. If we were to have that conversation with him right now, who would we be talking to?
Which conversation? Talking about prayer and meditation?
Even if we had him on the podcast, what would be the topic of conversation? What would he want to talk about?
That's a good question, man. I've thought about that because I've watched some pods. Well, I haven't watched entire pods because I'm not that interested in it, but I've seen clips of podcasts with some guys who are currently in the NFL, and the clips I see, I think to myself, man, that guy's like, he's got good things to say, or and I understand, like, I see that, you're in a very specific mode in that moment in your life, and I certainly was. I mean, I was always a guy that all the journalists wanted to talk to. I was always doing the interviews. They were always getting me to do the interviews because I was pretty honest. I didn't give the boilerplate. I never gave the boilerplate answer that we always hear, guys did a great job, team effort, coaches. I was pretty honest and truthful and real. So I definitely would have had something to say. I'm not exactly sure what that would have been in terms of this. When I was in Jacksonville playing for the Jags, I met this guy who was the director of music for the local NPR station, and he invited me to have my own show. And I had this radio show on NPR, on the local NPR station, called The Number 73. When I was in Jacksonville, I was number 73. And I would put together playlists of music with poetry readings or excerpts from books or things that I found, and I'd create a theme for every show. And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with that. So I guess, I've always been very much interested in art and literature and music and film, and that's definitely informed my aesthetic and the way I view the world and think about things. It would have been, I was definitely a different guy, depending on the day where you caught me. I'm not really sure what we would have been talking about.
Well, how about this? When the cameras were off and the pads were off and you're back home being a college kid, were you the type we'd catch you at dirtbags till 2, 3 in the morning, or were you pretty grounded, pretty locked in
No,
on the next chapter of your football life?
you definitely might have caught me at dirtbags. I was a wild man, dude. Like, well, I'll be honest about it. I was a total fucking wild man. I mean, one story I'll share, which is hilarious. Um, I was back in Tucson. I didn't go to dirtbags much. Honestly, during my college career, I wasn't even 21 until like October of my final season at Arizona. So
Okay.
I didn't like go out that much. But when I did, Champs was pretty big when I was there. I don't know if Champs kind of might have, that had a heyday while I was there.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I didn't go to Dirtbags much. You don't know what Champs is?
No, I do not. I
Yeah,
graduated
I
in
think it was
22.
gone.
Yeah, I got there in
Oh yeah,
2018.
dude, it was gone. It was gone, bro. Wait, it was. Champs was kind of the place to be when I was going to school there. And Dirtbags was like the super frat place,
Mm-hmm.
which some of my buddies would go to, but it wasn't like my main stomping grounds. But I think it was after my rookie year or somewhere in my first couple of years in the NFL, I came back to Tucson. I actually came back to finish my degree. Got my degree in creative writing. And my old roommate and I, Adam Grant, we went to Dirtbags one night. And we had these giant beers. And I mean, tell you where we were at. We had these giant beers. I'm like 6'6", 315. Adam's 6'7", 330. And we've got these giant beers, and we were going around like fucking crazed Vikings, clashing our beer mugs in the guys' beer mugs and shattering them and like laughing about it. I'm like, how did we even get away with that? Nobody stopped us. It was insane, dude. But I was totally a maniac. I was definitely, I liked having a good time, man. I was a pretty wild dude. And I was also, this guy was in here too. There was a grounded nature to me, and I like to have a good time, So I was a guy that I could connect with just about everybody, and I'm still like that. I can walk into any room and
Yes.
find friends, make friends. But I wasn't, I wasn't so tuned into what was really important to me at that time, and didn't even know what was important to me at that time.
Well, something that I've always found super interesting is these 21, 22-year-old kids getting drafted. They're finally in the NFL, and then they get just so much money thrown at them at one time. As someone that's dealt with that, what is that like being that young 20-something and coming into that kind of wealth?
Man, it's a massive change. It's a massive change. It's a totally life-changing experience. When I was 21, got drafted to the Jags, signed my rookie deal. I got like a $2.9 million signing bonus or something. It was the most money I think anybody in my family had ever made at one time.
And you're 21.
And 21 years old, man. I'm a kid. I'm a baby. I'm like total baby. And you've got a lot of people coming at you with hands out, having all kinds of great ideas about how you should spend your money. Now I'm like, fuck, dude, I could fly first class anywhere in the world I want. I can walk into any club I want, get the best table in the place, which I did. I can fucking, shower strippers with cash. Like I was doing it all, dude. Not investing it wisely, that's for sure. Got a BMW, like did the whole thing. And it's interesting to me now with NIL and the way college football is going because, I made every mistake in the book. And I was 21 and in the NFL out of my college career. Now these kids are 17, 18, 19 years old in college getting this type of money. And they might not even go and have an NFL career. These guys are going to be, it's like the window got compressed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them might go on and have great long NFL careers. I mean, the average NFL career is like 2.7 years, average, I mean, I played 6. You have to really focus yourself because there are so many distractions and understand that you're a professional in order to make it 10 years, which not a lot of guys do. If you make it 10 years in the NFL, I mean, you're on another level because you found something, you tapped into some sort of routine focus that has allowed you to do what 98% of guys can't do, you know.
Totally.
And when you get that type of life-changing money at that age, man, it takes a lot of focus and a lot of discipline, and you got to have the right people around you. A guy that I was drafted with, Eugene Monroe, he was drafted in the first round. I was drafted in the second round, one of my best buddies during my time in the league. Looking at the differences of, who we were surrounded by. My financial guy ended up in prison like 3 years into my career.
Wow.
From what I've witnessed, he had a much stronger support system than I did. And, maybe that was luck of the draw. Maybe it was instincts. Maybe it was just right place, right time. Maybe he just had better decision-making skills than I did at that age and was more aware of the situation than I was. But, he did really well. He took really good care of his money, and you could see the difference, in how he invested and owning properties and, like coming out of his career and having a foundation underneath him. When I came out of my career, and I had just enough money to buy a house in LA and then get my family and I about a year cushion before we had to figure out how to make money again. And, that was all on me, all the decisions I made. I was giving money to family, helping people out, buying every dinner. I did not have a budget. I was not thinking about tomorrow, you know. So I think that for young guys, and we have these guys come in. There's plenty of people coming in to talk to us saying, hey, NFL means not for long. Think about what you're going to do after your career. Save your money. Do really well. Now, I did, one of the best things I did was max out my 401k, while I was there, because that's what the veterans all told me to do. So I was like, okay, I can at least do that. And I did that. So, when I'm 45, 55, 65, I'm good. But other than that, like I've had to figure it out since. You have plenty of people coming saying, be smart with your money, figure out what you want to do in life after football. And, you take what you can receive and the rest just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. The bottom line is it's an incredible opportunity, obviously, to make so much money at a really young age. And the more you can hunker down and be really smart with it, it's gonna really have a positive impact on your life. I mean, playing in the NFL and everything that I experienced still had a massively positive impact on me. It's just I had to learn the hard way. Learned a lot of good lessons, a lot of necessary lessons for me in particular, especially around money. I mean, I come from a family that didn't really make a lot of money. So there wasn't really any understanding of it. And a lot of guys do and still go the other way and figure it out and make better decisions than I did. And I probably, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same, to be honest. I might have, one thing I would have definitely changed is I would have bought more property when I had that opportunity. But I think learning how to invest, educating yourself around money while it's coming in the way it does when you're in the NFL, because there's very few opportunities to make money that way, in the amount and the volume that you have the opportunity to when you go into the NFL. So anytime as a young person, when you come into a lot of money, man, become a student of finance. Like fucking learn how to steward your money so that you're not trying to figure it out later on in life. I think it's one of the most important things that we never learn in school, that the more you can educate yourself along the way, the better off you're going to be long term, obviously. And if not, if you want to just have fun and you've got no discipline with it, you could be like me and learn it the hard way and have to do it after the fact. But, you're going to have to learn either way.
Apollo Celine's got your summer playlist covered. Check out their new bangers, Out Till Morning and Search for the Light, available on all streaming platforms. Released June 20th, 2025, these tracks are pure energy, perfect for late night drives or beachside vibes. Don't miss the songs defining summer 2025. Eben, why don't you walk us through the wear and tear, the grind, the physical demands of the NFL season and what that's like? It's currently August, right? If you're lucky, you play on to February. What is the physical grind that goes on throughout the season?
Yeah, it's a beast, man. I mean, it's everything in your body hurts. Usually already by the end of training camp. You've got a nice base layer of soreness going on. Most guys are probably already on a daily regimen of a prescription anti-inflammatory medication like Cataflam or Indocin. So this is like super powered Advil or Tylenol. You're taking that every day just to kind of manage the constant inflammation and soreness. Older vets, some of the older guys who are dealing with, the compounding effects of a career of injuries might already be taking opiates at this point, like Vicodin, Percocet. I mean, it's probably fewer and far between at this stage because, our knowledge and understanding of the detrimental side effects or, the effects of taking these things long term are pretty widely known. That being said, most guys, just about every guy, understands that they've got to be out on the field and able to give it everything they have, whether they're in pain or not. And so you're going to do whatever you need to do to get out on the field and be able to perform. So already at this stage, I think they're heading into week 3 of preseason. Training camp has probably quieted down. They've gotten through the first 2 weeks of real training camp. Everybody's probably back home. They're starting to settle into somewhat normal of a schedule. Probably a little bit extra. They've probably got an extra practice, extra walkthrough, lots of meetings going on right now. So still on a summer schedule, but that base layer of soreness has already started to set in. And these guys that I played 6 years, which is, great. I mean, the average is like 2.3 years. Guys who are playing 10 years, I might have mentioned this last time before we got cut off. Guys who are playing 10 years plus. I mean, these are really special individuals who have come to cultivate a really specific mindset around how to take care of themselves and what it means to be a professional athlete. Because you're just dealing with so much pain. Nobody, I mean, nobody, I think we could say that unequivocally, no one on an NFL roster is getting through a season without some sort of injury. Nobody's just healthy for 18 games. Which is insane to me. I mean, 16 games was already a lot. Now they're playing 17 games, I think.
Yeah.
18 weeks. Nobody's getting through that feeling good. So you really have to make it, you have to really settle into a really strong mindset of like, how do you not get burned out? How do you take good care of yourself, and make the experience as sustainable as possible, you know? And that comes with, you're getting 2 massages a week. You're getting in the ice tub probably daily. You're doing sauna. Hopefully your nutrition is somewhat dialed in. It's a fucking full-time job. It's not just you're getting paid millions of dollars and you're investing every second of your time into being the best you could possibly be through immense amounts of physical adversity.
So when you were in the NFL, what was your diet like compared to now, I guess?
I mean, I was a guy who always had to keep weight on, so
Mhm.
I lost weight pretty quickly. So I was like, had to kind of eat more than, you know, a typical guy, and my, always ate pretty clean. No junk food, but a lot of food. 3 protein shakes a day, 3 big meals a day. Breakfast was like eggs, omelets, bacon, you know, fruit, pancakes. I was just trying to get a lot of calories in. So a lot of protein. I was 310 to 320. So I'm getting like, 350 grams of protein a day, trying to get somewhere between like 3,500 and 4,000 calories a day just to maintain, you
Mm.
know. Um, but it depends, usually they've got guys on a weight like, between a 1 to 3 pound difference of where they want guys to weigh in every day, or at least on a weekly basis. And each guy might need something else. Some guys need to make sure they're cutting back calories because they fucking gain weight really fast.
Yeah.
Some guys like, I played with guys, D lineman. He used to say, man, if I just look at a muffin, I gain 5 pounds, So it's like, it's a case by case basis, and it's super dialed in, man. I mean, you're dealing with elite level athletics here, you know?
Yes.
Everything is watched, every piece of data is collected, probably even more so now than ever before. But, it's a very tight ship, and every bit of it is looked at, managed, and analyzed.
Well, from August, September, where there may be an excitement in the locker room, it's still early fall, late summer, the weather's still nice. And then a couple months in, I would imagine around Thanksgiving time, you're 3, 4 months into the season, you've taken some hits. Does the energy shift within the locker room?
It depends, it depends. If you're on a good team, it starts getting exciting. If you're on a shitty team, like I was usually, uh, it starts to get really hard, you know? Um, I mean, I've been on some good teams that had a chance, going into the year, going into late in the year, had a chance to make the playoffs. But mostly I was on some really bad teams, and it's really hard. October, November, when you start planning out your postseason vacation, and at like the end of October, early November, it's a really difficult, hard season. Like, you don't want to be on that team. Uh, if you're on a good team, a team that's on a winning streak, getting hot, that's really fun and exciting. It's like, fuck, I'll be sore all day on a team that's winning. You know,
Yeah.
I'll push myself to the limit all day on a team that has a chance to win every time they go out onto the field on Sunday. When your body hurts and your team sucks, like my last year in Jacksonville, we went 2-14. It was one of the most miserable seasons of my entire football career. And our head coach was just like this guy. He was determined to make his way work when it clearly wasn't working. And it was just a fucking miserable season, And it's hard, even when you're making money and you're doing what you love. You've worked your entire life to be doing this thing. It's so fucking hard, to be on those types of teams. Your body hurts. It's like, who cares? What are we doing here? But when your team's winning and there's a lot of excitement, guys feel inspired and excited to go, it gets really fun and exciting midway through the year like that,
Yeah.
Even in Arizona, my last couple of years, my last season in particular, we would always get on a hot streak like middle of October, and it gets really fun,
Absolutely. I love your shirt that says "Glad to be here." Was
Yeah,
there
dude.
ever a moment when you weren't glad to be here?
Oh yeah, many moments, dude. Many moments when I have not been glad to be here. Um, Throughout my life, and I think that's part of the deal as a human being. You're not always gonna feel excited about where you're at and what you're doing. Um, but that's the practice, The practice is to always be able to come back to gratitude, be able to come back to what inspires you, what gets you up out of bed in the morning, what lights your fire, what keeps the fire stoked, and at various times, one of the issues, one of the main issues that I found is that we have grown up in a society that convinces us that when we get to the end, when we get to the finish line, when we win the trophy, when we do the thing that we set out to do, everything's going to be different. When we achieve all our dreams, everything's going to be different. All our problems are going to go away. And when we live in that mindset, that matrix of perception, inevitably what you find out when you get to the finish line, when you get the trophy, you win the thing, you get the job, you get the girl, whatever it is, the movie keeps going. Life keeps happening, And you wake up the next day and you're still the same guy you were yesterday. And you're going, wait, what the fuck, dude? I just made it to the peak of this mountaintop. Why does everything just feel the same? And so, one of my some of the most important work that I've done on myself in the last 10 years in particular is learning how to get really good with the day-by-day process of being a human, rather than expecting something to happen when I get over there or when I do this thing, and just loving every moment, good, bad, indifferent, boring, exciting, orgasmic, whatever it is here and now, just being good with it and recognizing that the next breath it could feel totally different,
Yeah. And Eb, I'm immediately reminded of Scotty Scheffler's press conference a couple weeks back at the British Open. It was like, what's the point? Of course, he's the best golfer in the world for the last 3 to 4 years. He wins constantly. And even he questions those moments. When he wins, you celebrate all the hard work. You celebrate for 2, 5, 10 minutes, an hour, and then get on the plane, get back to Dallas in his case, and back to work. It's really a fascinating thing. And I feel that you've been around a lot of great people in your life. The relentless pursuit never ends. It's always on to the next. You never settle with a single victory or a moment that maybe defines you in that instance. It's always on to the next thing, the next moment. What do you think of that? And of course, Scotty's approach towards the same situation.
Yeah, a good buddy of mine one of my best friends, he shared that Scotty Scheffler's comments after he won the British Open, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Well, he actually made the comments before the tournament began, which made it
oh,
that much more
really?
legendary. Yes.
I love it, dude. I love that. You know, man, it's I think it's the key to the game, you know. It's the key to the game of life, really, is learning that as quickly as you can, because then you can actually enjoy it. You know, you can actually enjoy being a human and not get swept up and lost in the destination, you know, or seeking the destination, because it's about the journey, you know. It really is. Like, so fucking cliche. We live in a really interesting time, you know, where with social media and all this stuff, all of these really important key axioms of being a human, of mental and emotional well-being, have been totally co-opted and branded and made into bumper stickers and t-shirts, and it's like it takes the meaning out of it, you know? Like, be kind. Couldn't be a more important philosophy, but you walk around, you see it so much, it's like, be kind. Who gives a fuck? It means nothing. But be kind. Being kind is like the most powerful act you could possibly take action through, you know?
Yeah.
It's about the journey. It's not about the destination. Like, these things, they're so simple, but they've been so marketed and you know, stamped on lunch boxes that it's like we've lost sense of the power and the meaning behind it. And you know, it's difficult when you live in a society that we don't have much. There's not much in our day-to-day life that we get to hang our hat on as far as what really roots us down into being people and connection with others. And we don't have to hunt for our food. We don't, you know, as men, we don't have to secure the perimeter of our land, of our territory. You know, it's a very complicated time psychologically. So the things that really make us human and that biochemically we respond to, that creates true well-being, which is connection with others and putting our hands in the dirt and growing our own food and living our purpose. You know, we've got to go and find our purpose. And a lot of people make their purpose about optimization and being the best version of yourself you can be, which are good things. But if your whole life just becomes this endless mission to optimize yourself, you're going to fucking burn out. You're not a robot, you know, you're a human being. You're an organic life form that feels and has thoughts about things and gets wounded and gets hurt, and like, you know, it's really a totally fluid experience to be human. You know, we can't just make our whole life about checking boxes on a checklist. You know, so I think it's really great to have discipline and to work towards goals. Really powerful, really healthy to do that. But what we have to do on the other side is recognize, like, once I achieve that goal, nothing really changes. You know, that's kind of just another checkpoint, and it's a way to see my progress. But it's not about doing the goal. It's about who I'm developing myself into, how I'm developing myself every step of the way on the journey to achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it's about. It's not about, it's about what I learn along the way, whether I win or not, whether I achieve the goal in the first round or not. A good buddy of mine, this guy Matt Vincent, just did a podcast with him, and he came and spoke to my men's group. He said this great thing, because we talk about 10,000 hours to master things. It takes 10,000 hours to master anything. But what we don't really think about is that means 10,000 iterations, maybe more, that are 10,000 failures on your way to actually being successful at the thing, And a lot of us, we don't have the time, we don't allow ourselves the time for that. And that can be anything from, jujitsu or golfing or, writing a book or just being a person, being a dad, being a friend, like how you show up in your relationships. It's 10,000 moments of fucking it up, doing it pretty good, trying this thing, that doesn't work. Oh, this worked really well. Okay, let me try this. Before we get to a place where it's like in our body, it's in our cells, and we actually have a sense of what we're doing. And I think if we allow ourselves the grace and the space to be able to work through that process, that's where the juice really lives, man. Because you got to keep this fire inside stoked. The fire that you were born with, that's your purpose as a human being. That's beyond money, it's beyond job, it's beyond anything external. It's literally the fire that you dropped into your body with. That's about your deep desire about what you want to achieve in this lifetime. Well, and you stoke that little by little, one day at a time.
And I think, my philosophy on what you're getting at is that whatever that fire is, whatever your obsession is, whatever your passion is, it all comes from the love that you have for it. Whether it be growing up as a kid, playing football, there was a love that got you into it. Wanting to be a musician and play the guitar and learn how to do that, you loved it. And I feel like when you lose that love on the journey, that's where it kind of gets messy, because that's where it started. And once you lose the love, it can be difficult to go back and find it, but it's always there because it starts with love.
Yeah, that's a great addition to the conversation, Ethan, because you're totally right. It's that thing that you got to remember why. You got to remember your why you're doing the thing. And to your point, when we're kids, we usually are doing things because we fucking love it. Like it's fun, It's exciting, it lights us up, like we love doing it. And then you get on the journey, you start growing up, people are talking to you about it, filling you with doubt, uncertainty, you're still working it. But some days you're like, fuck, what am I doing here? Who cares? You start to take it for granted. And you start to lose that love for it because there's some vision has kind of co-opted your why. I want to be a fucking rock star. I want to be famous. I want to make a lot of money.
Gets in the way.
So then that becomes the why, and it replaced just loving doing it, which is really the thing that's going to make you great. Just loving it,
Yeah. As cliche as it may sound.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. It's another one of those things, right? And so if you can constantly, and that's, another thing that, kind of going back to those guys. I mean, Tom Brady played 23 years. 23 years. I mean, You guys have barely been alive for 23 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 24.
Fuck, dude. And he did the same thing. There's nothing more monotonous than being a pro football player, dude. Your yearly schedule is the same every year. For 22 years, that's not even counting high school and college for him.
Or
Goes
Pee
back
Wee.
to loving it.
He had to. He had to go, okay, why am I doing this? Oh, yeah, I love doing it. I love every rep, dude. 500 balls a day into the trash cans, into the nets. I just love the experience of challenging myself to put the fucking ball in the net. It's crazy.
Well, now that you are not in the NFL, have you found your why post NFL?
You know, that's a great question, dude. My why now is really about I want to be the most peaceful, balanced, and present human being that I can possibly be, who makes people feel so comfortable that they're able to be themselves just by being in the same room as me.
I like that.
And it's tough because, you know, as a former Viking warlord who, you know, made my purpose about conquering the world and swinging a battle axe, you know, the fruits of my current endeavor aren't always that satisfying, or they're not as fun as dominating another person or, you know, anything like that. But there's nothing more important to me than that. You know, there's nothing more important to me than being a great father to my daughter. You know, there's nothing more important to me than being a great partner to my girlfriend. You know, there's nothing more important to me than being a shoulder to lean on and an ear to hear, to listen when one of my buddies is struggling, you know? And, you know, it's interesting. I'm rereading one of my favorite books of all time. It's by this guy, Dr. David Hawkins. It's called Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender. And it's a really important book. I recommend it for you guys if you're interested in learning invaluable tools for excavating the feelings and thoughts that you have to get to the center of yourself, to see what's underneath all of that stuff. I mean, I was probably like 30 when I started getting into this, so no pressure. But just throwing it out there. Although it does seem to me like people at younger and younger ages are tapping into stuff like this, like personal development, self-realization. And I think take your time with it, because life is fun, man. Like when you're young, and it's like, it's fucking live the adventure, you know? But he says this thing in there. He lays out this in the introduction. He's like, so you've tried meditation, you've tried being a vegan, you've tried yoga, you've tried ayahuasca, you've tried breath work, you've tried crystals, you've tried this, you've tried that. Like, he names every fucking thing that we all go to on this journey to getting to the bottom of ourselves, to getting underneath the fucking chaos that we're all experiencing internally. And what he talks about is, inevitably all that stuff, it's great for a time, but you find yourself right back to where you started over and over again. Like, none of it really none of it really changes you long term, because all of it is still just this really sophisticated method to bury, suppress, and repress the feelings that we're feeling. Like, we don't have tools, we don't have the vocabulary to manage our feelings and our emotions. We live in a society that's like, dude, I don't have time. I don't have time for feelings, man. Just go, you know? And what you do when you do that over and over again throughout your entire lifetime is then you just become a really angry person, really resentful person, a person who's just cloaked and layered with so much unacknowledged and undealt with feelings and emotions and energy that you can't really get anything done. You can't be the person you were born to be, you know? But when you can allow yourself to just feel the stuff that's coming up, really just allowing yourself to live the experience, to experience yourself as a human being, man, you can really start to dissolve that stuff, that pressure that we're all feeling, that we're all living through. And when you can do that, then your true self can start to emerge, and anything is possible. Anything is possible to begin with, you know, and we can will our way to a lot. But you'll hit a ceiling. Inevitably, you'll hit a ceiling if you don't manage and deal with the feelings, the sadness, anger, all the stuff that we feel. If you don't manage it, acknowledge it, deal with it, be with it, feel it as it comes up, you know, it's going to be a really long road the older you get. I don't know where that came from, but just on this, you know, on this idea of getting out of the idea that there's any destination that we're getting to. We're not getting anywhere, dude.
On the hunt for legendary wings, Buffalo's in Bloomington, Indiana, and Carmel, Indiana has you covered. Crowned top 10 wings in the nation by USA Today, our wings are a fan favorite. Dip into Mrs. Louie's famous sweet Q sauce for that sweet and tangy kick. Visit Buffalo's and wing it like a pro.
Well, Evan, that reminds me of something I heard before. People talk about reaching enlightenment. They talk about reaching nirvana, heaven, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that's somewhere you go to. I think it's somewhere we've already been. I think when we're a kid, we grew up in this state of nirvana that, like, growing up as a kid, you weren't worried, you weren't stressed out, you were constantly present, right? And as you get older, you get conditioned to the world that's been created, society, you have to deal with the rules and the laws, and they kind of strip that away from you in a way. And then as you get older, you forget that it even existed. And we're in this constant state of remembering that it's not somewhere we're going, it's somewhere we've been. And as you get older, you have to remember it and not forget it and not let it go. You have to kind of feel and dream it, that this is somewhere that people talk about, heaven, that you go to, but in reality, it's somewhere you've already been. And you just can't get caught up in the illusion that it's somewhere else where it's always within.
100%, bro. I mean, that's it right there. Yeah, I mean, think about it. When you were a kid, usually around the age of 8, something happens. I don't know. I don't know why it's around the age of 8. Usually it's around the age of 8. Sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's later. But where you decide that, you know, you've got to be a certain way to make other people happy or to be safe or whatever it might be. And so you went from being this totally free individual to now you start layering on these cloaks of illusion of like who I gotta be, how I gotta be. I gotta keep myself together. I gotta be this guy because that's what mom and dad want. All right. oh, when I go to school, I got to be like this because if I'm some other way, I'm going to get yelled at, or I don't want to get detention, or whatever it might be. And so the process, to your point, Ethan, is it's really the destination that we're getting to is inside. It's just deeper and deeper within.
Yeah.
And there's fewer and fewer of these veils of illusion clouding our perception. And so enlightenment is literally getting lighter. It's unloading stuff. You're not gaining anything. You're lightening the load, dude.
Because
You're floating.
And I feel like going to school, like once you enter school, the way schools are designed, it's to create workers. It's to create people to do stuff for them. And like you said, around 8, it's like when you go to school, that's as you get stripped away, or you get layers put onto you of ways you have to behave and ways you have to be. And there's this thing that happens where you lose that freedom because of the people who are in charge of you and are telling you how to be and how to act and how to behave and what to learn, that you lose that creative freedom, that enlightenment, that nirvana, whatever you want to call it. The older you get, the more you get told what to do and how to be and what to say. And honestly, it kind of happens from rules in school, and it's a ongoing, I don't want to use the word brainwash, but it's an ongoing way of manipulating people to lose themselves so they can be of service to the people who are in charge of them.
No doubt about it, dude. Hit the nail on the head. Is Ethan the weird brother?
Ethan's our musician.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. He's the creative one. He's the artist.
We're all artists.
I love it, dude. I love that. No, you're right on the money, Ethan. Absolutely. I think I think you hit the nail on the head. It's interesting to hear you connect the dot of at 8, most of us are going to school for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, it's, of course, you enter into the institution. And you start having all the boundaries and the walls put up on your perception of how you can be and what you have to be and all of that stuff. So 100%, dude.
Well, it's eerily similar how school and prisons are aligned, right? You get your hour, 30 minutes of sunlight. You're in a room with no sunlight. You're fed absolute garbage. And it's very structured in your day, right? You're in 45, 55-minute classes for a subject you do not care about. You do not want to put your time and energy towards. And they say, like Ethan mentioned, it does set you up from that young age at 8 in a lot of ways to lose your innocence to that regimented, strict schedule that is school. And we grew up in the cold. So in the cold, it's even more so getting up early at 6:30 to go to a school that you don't want to go to. It kind of just sets you up for misery. And I hate to lack optimism, but in many ways that's what it is setting you up for in your life going forward.
No doubt about it, man. I mean, I don't think it's I think it's acknowledging what the system is, It's not I don't think it's a lack of optimism. Then as free individuals, we get to decide if we want to send our kids to schools anymore. There's a lot of people, there's a massive movement of homeschooling kids. When I was a kid, only the weird kids were homeschooled. Now, like, any kids that I have from here on out are going to be homeschooled.
That was my next question for you. Having a daughter.
My kids are not. My daughter, who's 13, she's been in school, obviously, and it's been great for her. And we've done like interesting alternative schools for her. She's gone to Montessori. She went to a Montessori school early on. She's been in private the last, 4 or 5 years, which has been good for her. But like any kids that I have from here on out going to be homeschooled.
Now, what are your thoughts on college? Me, Ethan, and Merrick have talked about outside of like the networking and meeting great people. If you're not going to be like a lawyer or doctor, there's so many degrees that are so worthless nowadays, especially with AI.
Yeah, dude. I mean, colleges are a really weird place too, man. It's a lot of really fucking woke ideology being preached and fucking brainwashed and conditioned on kids, posing as, higher level thinking. It's not. It's strange. It's weird. There's a lot of really weird ideas that are being implanted in young people's minds through college. I would agree with you. I think unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, or maybe work in finance, I don't know what you're going to college for. I majored in creative writing, which was fun and good for me, and I loved it. And I was playing football. So, there's no better way to work your way into professional sports than to play at the collegiate level and to play through there. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a different time, and young people. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm young, but I feel like this even my daughter's age group, young people who are like, teen to 25, 28, pre-30s, have a really strong and interesting relationship with technology. That it feels like you don't really need to go to college, man, because you can make money in so many interesting ways now. It's like, I don't know. I think that you should do what's best for you. I think college is a great experience too. It's great to be around a really diverse collection of people that come from all sorts of different backgrounds, to connect, to make those friendships, for networking, like you said, Evan. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is it worth it to spend $150,000 to $300,000 on 4 years of education that you could literally curate yourself through ChatGPT? I don't know if you're interested in that. And then again, I think if you want to be a doctor, or if you want to be somebody who's working a job that really requires higher levels of education, like doctor, lawyer, therapist, or some sort of researcher, I think it can be a lot of fun. Right now I'm in an interesting place. I'm really hungry for knowledge. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I went and got my yoga teacher certification, 300-hour certification. And I did it, not because I really wanted to teach yoga, but because I loved yoga so much and wanted to deepen my own knowledge of it. So I think college is great for that. If you're really hungry for knowledge and there's something specific that you're interested in, expanding your foundation of understanding around, yeah, it's awesome. But I think just going to college to get a diploma, not really worth it.
Well, Eben, I think it comes back to that love we were talking about. That
Yes,
if
yes,
the
sir.
thing you love takes you to college, go for it. If that thing you love
No doubt.
takes you to yoga, go to yoga, and you can find ways to make money with whatever you love.
No doubt, man. No doubt. And what I was going to say is I'm looking at going to get my master's to be a therapist.
Wonderful.
So I couldn't do that unless I had a bachelor's degree, which I do. So, I think that once again, Ethan, to your point, let that be the fucking through line of this podcast. Follow your love, follow your joy. What fucking stokes you up, man? Do it for the love of it, man. Don't do it because of what you think you're going to make money on the other end of it, or the fame, or whatever it might be. Because if you do something because you really love it, you're going to be fucking great at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to cultivate your greatness.
Well said.
And you'll be compensated for it.
Mm.
You know, whatever it is. You know, people are making money making tons of money doing all sorts of weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I'm not talking about like OnlyFans weird foot videos or some shit like that. Like, I'm talking about like really innovative things that only emerged because somebody followed their love and their excitement about something, right?
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Well, Evan, one of my favorite qualities about you is how slow you speak and how direct you are. It's something I would like to get better at, and I've gotten better at, but I'm striving to get to Eben levels. So I really appreciate, Evan, you spending time with us, sharing such wisdom. Really
man.
love your energy and your approach to life, and really appreciate you taking the time to be with my brothers and I for this very special episode. So thank you again, brother.
Oh, yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me, dude. Really appreciate you guys. Love this convo, and, you know, anytime, keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
And for
brother.
anyone listening that wants to get involved with you, your men's group, or anything else you're working on, what's the best way to go about that?
Everything I've got going, you can find on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at EDS Britton. Looks like at Eds Britton. Those are my first three initials, Evan Daniel Smith Britton. I'm going to Italy next week for a week-long retreat, which is too late to sign up for, but next year doing it again. That'll be in July next year. End of September, doing an event in Texas called Fall Into Here. That's a 2-day event. Yoga, breathwork, ice tubs, great food, great people, a lot of fun. November, I'm going to Japan for a 5-day retreat on Roko Mountain. It's going to be yoga, breathwork, forest bathing,
Sweet.
meditation, great food, awesome time. That'll be a lot of fun. Other than that, yeah, man, just hit me up. I do one-on-one stuff. You can also book a one-off, one-on-one call if you're interested in that. And I appreciate the time, fellas. Thank you, guys.
A true honor.
Thanks,
Thank
Evan.
you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.